Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. It's been 3 weeks since my colostomy reversal and hernia repair surgery, and I needed some time to get through most of the hard part of the recovery, and I'm feeling better now. And so I really wanted to put something out for all of my ostomates, or I'm no longer an ostomate I guess, but to anyone who has an up-and-coming reversal surgery. I want to go over several things. What to expect, what was a surprise to me, things to watch out for, and I guess kind of just the routine, how things are kind of going since being reconnected. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to all of the new subscribers that have recently joined the channel. I think I've earned like maybe 20 or so in the past 3 weeks, especially while I was in the hospital. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't know what this channel is going to be turning into. It was made solely for the purpose of just helping me get through having a colostomy and not having one anymore. We'll see what it's going to turn into, but I really want to thank you so much, and I appreciate you, and let's just go and get into it. This is my third surgery in 10 months, and like I said, it was a colostomy and hernia repair surgery. It is vastly different from my second surgery for many reasons. One, the second surgery was an emergency. This was planned. Being septic in the second surgery, just caused a lot more things to take place. So one of the differences was the length of time that I was in the hospital. So this time I was in the hospital for 7 days. The previous surgery I was in the hospital for 15 days. So quite different. The reason for the 7-day stay, I probably could have left a day or two sooner than that, but it was really important, not only to myself but also to my surgeon, that I stay at least 5 days. The reason for that is because, well, two reasons. I became septic on day 4 after my first surgery. Generally, they say if the surgery is going to come undone, or the colon comes undone, it generally happens between 3 to 5 days, according to the surgeon. Let's just get to day 7 just to be safe, keeping me in the hospital, which I think was smart. During those 7 days, you got the standard things, the vitals. I wasn't needing to have as blood work constantly like I was before. I want to be referring a lot to the previous surgery, only because I know that is what made this surgery really hard for me to even want to do and get, afraid to even attempt to get through. So that's why I'm referring a lot to the second surgery. You have the standard things, right? The vitals being checked, and I had a catheter. I had 2 drains that were inserted during the surgery, which I'm really glad, and it sounds like a lot. I had 7 new incisions. Yay, we'll go into that a little bit more in a bit. And 2 of them were, 2 of them were at least for drains. So one of the drains was literally a straw hanging out of my stomach. That was for where the hernia incision was made. The hernia incision was made around my belly button, and is maybe this long. Not that long, not too long, but large enough. The second drain was a longer tube coming out, but that was put near where the stoma was. The reason why I'm glad and happy that he did that, he did both of the drains when he did, is because I needed a drain inserted during this after I had my second surgery, but that was because fluid was building up after the fact, so it was causing pain and discomfort. Then it's a whole thing. They wheel you in a separate room. They give you medicine to supposedly numb it. If they poke you, I felt it, not incredibly, but I felt it. Was in for several days, and then they remove it, you feel it. it was a little prick. Was not pleasant. That experience upset me because I felt when I was starting to experience pain that I was having some sort of setback, and it really scared me. I thought it was going to result in me going into another surgery. So when I found out that this surgeon had doing it just to be proactive, to prevent any fluid buildup, because that generally happens, he just put him in when he did. The drains were removed maybe day 4 or 5, because after a while there was really nothing coming out of them. I didn't feel them in me at all. At one point I snagged on one a little bit when I was moving around in my room. They're more of a nuisance because they're the cord, the wires, the tubes, but no pain. Now when they came out, the surgeon removed them, and it was interesting because even he was a little bit unsure of what it might feel like. He goes, it shouldn't be too bad because we're not going, the drains are not going through your abdominal wall necessarily, so it's not as deep, it shouldn't be as painful. So that was great to hear. So when he did the straw like one first, which was which was for the hernia. And so this much was sticking out, and what he actually pulled out was like this length, and I was like, oh my god, it's weird that much was inside, and I had no idea. And I felt it slightly, but I wouldn't say there was any pain. You just felt some movement. The colostomy drain, I felt a little bit more, but still nothing bad at all. Now that sucker surprised me because the part, the tube, I could see the tube, and you don't really, obviously can't see what's inside of you. Well, what was inside of me was like this long and a little thicker, and so I was like, oh my god, I expected that to hurt, but it didn't. So yeah, so you might have some drains. If you do, it's better that way to prevent any complications after the fact, and they have to go back and repoke you. This way it's just already in there. You just gotta feel it when they pull it out, and it's not bad. My surgeon was a little staple happy. One of my nurses commented on that when she saw my stomach. Was just like, oh, your surgeon loves staples. When I went and I saw him a week ago from yesterday to have the staples removed, even he made the comment like, oh, I went a little crazy with the staples. I had 44 staples and 1 stitch. So the removal of the staples was probably more painful definitely than the removal of the drains. And I say that, but in perspective, I mean, it was not bad at all. The removal of staples, especially if you have multiple colostomies, surgeries like I have, you know what it feels like, the process, and with the tool that they use, there's really not that much discomfort or pain. I think I felt maybe 1 or 2 little stings when he was removing them, but compared to when you think of the total number of staples that I had, it was really not bad. There was one incision that was made that didn't need to be made. The surgeon was very open in telling me. I think he blamed it on his partner at the time, and I think that's where the stitch came from. Like, they thought they needed to make an incision, but really they didn't, so they just closed me up with a stitch as opposed to a staple. I don't know. For the first couple of days, you're definitely on. So one of the questions or concerns that I had, that I was going to wake up with a tube down my nose going down my throat into my stomach, or to prevent any movement there. And at the time he told me, I'm not sure. So when I woke up, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that I did not have a tube going down my throat and into my stomach. So I was pretty much on a liquid diet for the first couple of days, very slowly, didn't even drink that much, because I had an IV. Came a point when I didn't even need it, but at one point, the IVs, I had like one in this arm and one in this arm. This one fell out, so then eventually they moved it to this arm. That was annoying. Has anyone ever had a IV inserted, but done by ultrasound? I have, and it was the most painless thing I've ever experienced. It was crazy. I wish all IVs were done that way. So the diet, liquid, slowly then went to soft foods. You got jellos and pudding. and then slowly graduating to a little bit more solid. The most important thing for me, even told, diet restrictions coming home, was low fiber, keep your liquids up, solid, soft foods, no raw foods, nothing spicy. So I felt like I was kind of eating how I was needed to eat, which was not very much before I had any surgeries. So that was a little frustrating, but not bad. So my diet now is I've definitely graduated to more solids, but it's really important that I don't become constipated. I don't want any stool sitting down there where it can cause a rupture again and I become septic. So I was given, stuff for pain medication, stool softener, and then another medication that I will get into in a bit. So with the stool softener, I don't take it all the time, maybe every other day if I need to, but I don't want to overdo it with that either. So that's been a good. I did request home care this time around, and I have had a nurse come stop by once. They asked me if I wanted physical therapy, but honestly, I don't feel that I need it. They would probably have me do the same sort of exercises that I did when I had my second surgery, so I figured I'd just do those, and that's what I've been doing. Being mobile is very important in the beginning. Surprisingly, waking up from this surgery and just things, as days were going on, I felt like I had much more energy and the will to get up than I did the second surgery. So I made sure to take advantage of how I was feeling and getting up and being active. It's just really important. Like I said, the physical therapy at home I don't feel like I need. So it's just, my physical therapy is just walking around my apartment or walking outside, sitting down, getting up, sitting down, getting up. I do feel pressure if I sit down a certain way, so just being careful that I'm not sitting, funky or sitting on an edge. It's not going to be pleasant. So there's no real pain down there, but it's sensitive. Bowel movements. My bowel movements it's interesting to get used to again. I feel like my body is still having a bowel movement at the same times as I would if I had the bag. The only thing, that's been really an adjustment is just feeling that sensation again and having to get up to have a bowel movement. I haven't experienced a lot of diarrhea or constipation, so I've been able to avoid kind of becoming overly sensitive due to wiping, which has been nice. And I think that's just helping with my diet, the amount of liquids that I'm trying to consume. I think that was a surprise to experience during this surgery were two things that I want to share with you and that you should be on the lookout for if you start to experience them, so you can tell your doctor right away, because it sucks. Which was acid reflux and being nauseated. But I'm talking like 10 out of 10. Like drinking water, taking a breath a certain way. I would get, as things are starting to wake up, naturally, other organs that have kind of gone to sleep, but especially the colon, as things start to wake up and I'm drinking liquids and I'm needing to have a bowel movement, everything was just causing acid reflux and nausea. And being nauseated is horrible because it caused me to start gagging. I didn't really have any food in my system, so I'm just, imagine you just had stomach surgery and you have 7 new incisions done to you, and you're gagging those muscles, and so I was not very happy. I was able to have a visitor this time, which was nice that my partner was able to be there with me during some of these episodes. And I just remember at one point I was just gagging so much. I had like this much bile in my bag, and I needed to get up to go to the restroom because I felt like I was gonna have a bowel movement, and the pain of those, everything was just hitting me. So I got a little emotional, a little bit upset on the toilet. But Once I told my doctor what I was experiencing, he was able to give me something that took care of it. Once he took care of the acid reflux and being nauseated all the time, I was able to just kind of focus on recovering and being able to get up more and move around. By day 7, I was just like sitting in my room, moving on the couch. I had my own room. This part of the hospital, they do not share. No one shares a room, so that was so nice to not having to deal with a roommate, because last time I had a roommate, 2 separate roommates, and they were horrible, especially one of them. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I will say to anyone who's going to have a colostomy reversal, obviously I feel you're probably nervous, you're scared, anxious, and no one can stop that. But I will say that from my experience, this was a breeze compared to my last surgery. So I have 7 new incisions, everything's looking good, and I am just trying to stay positive and still trying to remain active in what I need to do. I have a couple more weeks before I go back to work, but I honestly don't see a reason why I shouldn't be able to. I have a restriction of like 10 to 15 pounds for the next 6 months, given that I've had 3 surgeries in 10 months, and in each surgery I have been cut at least 5 to 6 times each. So I have a lot of compromised area on my stomach, so lifting something could cause pain, cause hernia I should say. The surgeon did tell me that people who do have developed infections tend to develop them around the stoma site, so I just been watching that more closely. Yeah, the stomach is scarred up. I have pictures. I'm not gonna put them out. I don't want to gross anyone out. But if anyone's gonna have a reversal surgery and kind of want to see what it might look like, I mean, maybe I'll share. But I think that's it for this video. I just really wanted to put something out. But wait, there's more. So 3 things I wanted to point out. One of them's more vain than the others. But I lost 7 pounds while being in the hospital, so that was nice. So if you gain a little bit of weight from your previous surgery, from at least someone like me who once I had my colostomy bag and pretty much the diverticulitis was taken care of, I could eat, and so I ate and gained some weight. So I think the highest I've ever been recorded weight-wise was like 150. So when I got weighed last week, I was 142 or something. So 7 to 8 pounds. Maybe it was 143 because I know how to count. So, but anyways, the other thing I wanted to mention were the stomach grumbles. Once your stomach starts to wake up and your bowels are moving, it's going to be loud. Now, it was surprisingly loud to me, and it felt where it was loud the most was where the colostomy once was. It doesn't hurt or anything, but it almost sounded like a creaky door being opened at times. It was loud. The other thing I wanted to mention, and there were 3 doctors in the surgery room. One of them being a doctor. He's probably a urologist, but he needed to put some tubing into my penis that would pretty much guide the doctor away from cutting I forget the word, but this tubing. Pretty much I'd be urinating inside myself. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes when I pee, still to this day, there's some sensitivity. So like right now, if I'm leaning forward a lot for a certain length of time, I'll feel a lot of pressure down at the bottom. If I urinate, or if I'm urinating a lot, I mean, I'll feel some discomfort and some pain down there. So I want to mention that to the doctor, but I'm not bleeding, it's not excruciating, and it stops when I stop peeing. And sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't. So something else to be mindful of. not, you know, it's been a couple of weeks since I put something out. Again, thank you for all the new subscribers that have joined the channel. We'll see what this channel turns into, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.